Hello, STL compatriots. It's your little cog champ Gearchief here, and with me, I got Sun. Sun, how you doing?
Doing pretty great, Gearchief, and I'm pretty excited for this one. We got ourselves Immortal division. We've got Stormcallers versus Sunbreakers, and I'm incredibly excited to see these teams. I haven't gotten to see a whole lot of Immortal games yet this season, so I'm very excited.
I know I've casted a Stormcallers game with Voulg, Cosmic, and Spence before, a couple familiar names. They pulled out a really big upset against Thockman Jones's team, which surprises a little bit of a student overtaking the teacher at that point. But I also recognize some names coming out of Sunbreakers. ShadyByrd is one that I could say. KoalaMang as well. So Stormcallers definitely have a tough fight ahead of them. First couple bands have been some familiar faces that we've been seeing. All right, I see the Martiker's son. Give us your little rant there. Hop on that
Oh,
soapbox.
all hunters do not compare to that pick.
And
So
the ultimate?
always good to see Death from Above removed from the game. It is the hardest hitting physical element. It is just not fair. That character needs more nerfs. But taken out of the battleground for this game at least, we got a Kali, Baba Yaga, Hachi, Raven. All of these are incredibly standard. We've been seeing these bans time and time and time again. Thor ban as well. Pretty standard. A lot of teams elect to ban that in the first ban phase, especially at the beginning of sets. Sometimes he starts to sneak his way through near the tail end of fights. Of sets. But regardless, taken off the table for this game, which is always good to see. And so Stormcallers getting first pick from what is pretty standard at this point, and kind of what I was about to go off and say. It was a pretty standard pick being Yorm, and there's the Yorm right there, immediately getting taken over to the solo lane, more than likely for Stormcallers, and very good look, a very strong pick, does a lot of damage, and is incredibly safe with the World Serpent. So always something you got to keep an eye out for. And there's another magical damage dealer as well, so you're not just building protections against that mid laner usually.
Gods, I can slip through the cracks of the picks and bans. Personally, I think I'd rather deal with Thor than Yorm, but I'm also a soul inner, so I gotta deal with Yorm essentially the entire game. Thor, Thor, I guess they both have uh global ultimates, but Yorm you can kind of track better. Thor sets up more, but I just think a runaway Yorm is just one of the scariest things to deal with, especially when you can't really displace him much. So I'm curious to see how Sunbreakers is going to deal with it. And if they do lock in this Athena, I
Wisdom
think it's a
shall be
good
my
pick.
shield.
Perfect. One of the things that I always liked about Athena into Yorm is she has one of the few abilities and CCs that can actually force move Yorm, right? So you have the taunt, so you can actually displace him because technically it's him moving of his own volition. So I think that's always good because it's always obnoxious when you're playing as a Geb or a Sylvanas. You're trying to bank on them knockups,
Farewell.
and you just can't stop him or displace him. But with Athena, you can draw him away from your team, and I always think an Athena's a good pick. And Ishtar as well. That shotgun stim I think is going to do a lot too, because when she just pulls out the the blast arrows. I don't know what else to call it. And you stand right up in a Yorm and hit every one of those, you can watch his health just disappear. Absolutely, just like melted like butter.
Yeah, I mean, each of those extra arrows are doing 10% of your normal basic attack damage, so it scales up pretty quickly. You can do a lot of damage with that shotgun blast, and as you were saying, and a Rom coming out from Stormcallers, another very standard ADC pick that we've been seeing a lot of teams look towards, especially when the Hatchies have been banned out and taken off the table over there in the long lane. So, and yeah, I like what you were saying about how Yorm is a has a not so great matchup into the
Tremble
Athena. It's not
beneath the
bad either when
waves.
it comes to the Athena, but another pick that teams have also tend to look at is the Hunbats with the Fear coming out with Fear No Evil on
Hmm.
the Yorm. A lot of teams like to use that on Yorm as well to help displace him and hold him in place for a while because, again, it's just so hard to CC a Yorm. For an extended period of time, usually. So, and a Umoja pick coming out from Stormcallers, another really strong support pick going the way of Spence Spark there in the support role. And Mending Waters, fantastic. Rivers Rebuke being able to cut off team fights. We've been seeing a lot of teams fight around these beacons, and Rivers Rebuke does a great job of being able to isolate people inside of those beacons and just allow their team to dismantle one or two members of the opposing side with the Rivers Rebuke, locking people in and not giving them the chance to escape. So
I think it's a good pickup too, because if you prevent them, well, I mean, I guess they already had their Athena, right? You didn't really need to worry about them pulling out the River's Rebuke to kind of pin Yorm in. But at that point, if you're wasting so many picks just to deal with one character, then you're kind of leaving the rest of the team to go. The Hunbat's call is banned out, like you said, one of those other guys that can really deal with Yorm. So it seems like Stormcallers is kind of building around him as well. But also Hunbat's just an annoying god to deal with, right? And one thing I'll always say is he might not always be in meta. He might not be the best late game, mid game. He's best is early to mid, but the best thing about him is he always has that ultimate, right? No matter what part in the game is, he's gonna have that ultimate, and the CC is gonna be there. So maybe it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it splits up the rest of the team and then can lead into more chaos as it goes along. So that ultimate is definitely the biggest thing about that character, is that it makes him relevant throughout the whole thing. Because some people, like let's say Thor for example, right? His ultimate's good and it can really do a lot, but it can also get him in a lot of trouble. Hun Bats can just set everything up for the rest of the team. As long as he gets that off, he can die, but it's still standing there, right? He's still getting utility out of it, and it's just such an annoying god to deal with. I really like that ban. Coming out with it, we got Hebo as well, and I gotta say, I really like the Hebo ban too.
Yeah, always good to take the Hubble off the table, and Sunbreakers looking for a Discordia pick. Discordia tends to have a decent matchup into the Yorm as well. It looks like they're trying to do a good job of countering him. A Wukong does fairly well into Yorm in the solo lane. You've got an Athena for team fighting phase, and Strife being able to root the Yorm in place and allow your team to burst them down can be also very beneficial for your team. And so with that pick, we're looking for only the jungle pick left for Sunbreakers, unless they elect to put that Athena into jungle, as some junglers like to do. And we got a Loki lock-in coming out for Stormcallers, and this is a pick that not a whole lot of people have been playing, but we have been seeing it time and time again more recently. I'm thinking of Crit of Time playing that in the it was Godlike Kingslayers versus.
You mean the game Lost to Time? The one that we sat on desk for?
Oh, I don't even remember, but
I remember you saying Crit of Time. He really pulled out a whole bunch of the ultimates and got a lot of utility out of it. Not necessarily damage, but I've seen Loki kind of fall short in some aspects too. We had a recent one with Divine Sunbreakers versus Wild Inferno. Virtually went Loki, and he did okay. He did pretty well, but it just wasn't enough. So I feel like Loki's a decent pick, but I think he's being a bit overvalued right now. Unless you have a plan with him, then I think he's fine. But I think he's a bit, just like a bit overvalued, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes it's a little bit of comfort pick as well. Some players feel very comfortable on the Loki and feel like they can do a lot with him, and you can play him in a lot of versatile ways. I, for one, am a Loki player that will use my ultimate assassinate time and time again. The second it's off cooldown, I'm looking at somebody. I don't care who it is. I'm going to either burn your beads or I'm going to kill you. So that's the way I like to play him. But other players like to just play a really quiet early game, get some stacks. Transcendence is usually something a lot of players go to on that pick, and then just try and get their transcendence fully stacked, and then start looking at team fights after the fact. And typically we'll just use that assassinate as disengage. And so it'll just be very interesting to see how this Loki will be being played for Stormcallers. And to round off the draft, we've got an Agni and a Camazotz for last pick for Sunbreakers. And Camazotz is another pick we've been seeing a lot more recently. I feel like a lot of players were not looking at them at the very beginning of the season, but as time has gone on, a lot more teams have been starting to look towards this Camazotz. And so it'll be interesting to see how ShadyByrd uses this Camazotz. Well, I'm wondering if we'll end up using it as a little bit of a counter for this Loki, being able to see the Loki as he goes invis when you mark him with your Screech. So it'll be interesting to see if it's going to be looking to just counter the Loki a little bit, or if you're going to be trying to get even more value on this Agni in the mid. Agni is a very squishy mid laner, and Camazotz does a lot of early game damage, so you can put a lot of pressure in the mid lane.
Bad Hell really allows for a lot of safe damage to come out too. You can kind of dive towers with that. You have the ability to just do a whole bunch and get out at the same time. It gives you a whole bunch of time in the air. If you hit lines, it's crazy. So hopefully we will see if that Camazotz can pull anything out and counters Loki as best he can. But we're going to go into game to do that, and we shall see you on the battlefield. Hello, everybody out there, you SDL fans. My name's Gearchief. With me, I got Suun, Stormcallers versus Sunbreakers. Let's get into the bloodshed.
I'm incredibly excited, and you can see up at the top, no, that is not a mistake, that Stormcallers do, in fact, have a win over Sunbreakers. Game 1 was forfeit due to one of the players on Sunbreakers showing up incredibly late for their scheduled match, and so unfortunately, they end up losing game number 1 as forfeit, and so Stormcallers are already up in this best-of-3 set with 1 win over Sunbreakers, and with that, they just need to play really consistent and concise when it comes to what it is that they want to do so they can get to late game and win this game and make it a nice 2-0 set, very quick and easy for Stormcallers. And so with that, it looks like a little bit of pressure over here in the solo lane, but it looks like Yorm will be getting out of this one. 1 HP in a dream, but Voulg will not be able to take that one out. So
One will take advantage of this, the negative side of the Yorm passive, where he might not be able to be knocked up, knocked back, but he's going to take bonus damage. And with that Ox and quick cancel and a nice slap of the cudgel, Voulg might have to play a little bit safer here as opposed to as aggressive as a Yorm might want to do. So that's something we're going to have to look out for. If Voulg can kind of handle the knockups, dodge them, or at least cause cause BoolCakes to make the dangerous plays. Mario Bros getting caught out, has to use the jolt to back away. KoalaMang asserting a lot of pressure with his support insert, and I'm very excited to see how this is going to turn out. Athena, more of an aggressive support into more of a defensive support with the Mojo, who's more based on healing up and just kind of keeping more of a burn support, right? You're keeping your team in the fight to burn them down, like a war of attrition almost.
yeah, Yamoja being an incredibly safe pick over there in the support role, and with that, just being able to sustain up as much as possible in these team fights. And she typically plays very far back and looks to set up for the team and then peel back onto the backline members. And a little bit of an invade coming out here on the blue buff, and Pwuntahs has taken way too much damage.
Trying to defend the buff, but doesn't work. We got another rotation in the form of Zombie trying to help out, but Voulg does secure his blue, but Yorm's just too slow, getting caught with the root. That's a rotation of 3 to try to secure this blue buff. Luckily for Voulg, though, despite falling down, he did not manage to pick up that blue, so he didn't die with it. And if he can get back there quick enough, he won't necessarily lose too much out of that. But unfortunately, first 2 kills go to the way of Sunbreakers.
Yeah, really great rotation coming out from Sunbreakers, looking for that blue buff invade. They knew the timers just as much as Stormcallers knew the timers. It was the first blue buff spawn, so everybody knew when it was coming up. And with that little bit of rotation there coming out from Zombie in the mid lane, really allowed for them to get that double kill, because they could have very easily have gotten that 1 kill between Bird and Cakes, but getting the kill on the Yorm after the fact probably wasn't the case until that Strife came through, thanks to Zombie. And River's Rebuke used to look for this gold buff, and doesn't look like they managed to get it.
Insert trying to get away. KoalaMang trying to save his support. Getting picked out. Assassinate comes out. Defender of Olympus to try to save KoalaMang, but no dice. Astral Barrage gets just enough damage to support Pwuntahs, who gets the kill.
Yeah, Pwuntahs doing a great job of rotating directly over there after the double kill over on the blue buff, and with that rotation, managing to pick up the beads and the Defender of Olympus, and KoalaMang not having their ultimate up as either, so that's 2 ultimates down, and beads and shell for the duo lane, all expelled in that engagement. And if I'm a Loki, and I know that beads just got used, and their ultimate is down, I might even be looking over there relatively soon. I've still got Blink up, and I've still got my Claw Shard, so there's a lot of damage this Loki can still provide for a nice early gank once again over here on KoalaMang in the long lane. And with Spent Spark on the Emoja, you've got a lot of lockdown as well to hold them in place, so you don't necessarily need Assassinate.
We saw some of that lockdown right there. A beautiful torrent coming out to force KoalaMang into an awkward spot. but reinforcements are on their way. Insert coming on high. ShadyByrd trying to get behind, but the Torrent's going to help him get away. Riptide boosting him to safety. Spenspark tanking, but Spenspark getting a bit too low. Damage thrown out, but enough heals and shields to save Spence's little hide, and he will get away.
A little bit of a fight between mid laners there in the jungle. Zombie might have rotated without realizing that there's CosmicVibez hot on the tail, and CosmicVibez getting the better of that trade, but no ultimates used, no relics used between those mid laners, so nothing too much to worry about if you're Zombie. And with that failed gank over there, not a whole lot has changed on the map. No camps got invaded off of that, except for the purple buff that just now got taken by Insert on the Athena. And so relatively safe for Mario and Spenspark over there in the duo lane. Shell did end up being used by Spenspark, but you'll take using a shell any day of the week as long as you don't give up your life.
It's definitely a good thing to not let them get the pressure they need wherever else in the map. And that's what the relics are there for, right? To kind of save your hide when you need it most. And so with how this game's going so far, I will say I do like Stormcallers draft a little bit better. I do prefer the Agni over the Discordia, but that's also personal preference. I think this the Yorm is also a great presence in solo lane. I don't really like. I shouldn't say don't like, but I do definitely favor the Camazotz over the Loki. But overall, I think Stormcallers has a real big chance. A lot of AOE stuff and a lot of setup, but it's all going to depend on how they go. So what do you think? What do you think is going to happen in this?
I mean, right now Sunbreakers have a lead, and with the comp that they have a lot of initiation that can come out from Stormbreakers, and if they can start setting the pace with this little bit of a lead they have, they can really start to put a lot of pressure. But pressure's being put on Zombie, but Printers is taking a lot of damage in return as well.
Printers manages to get out River's Rebuke, but unfortunately there's no one to follow up. But there comes the apple and bounces off a couple walls. A little bit of give him a plinko, but doesn't seem to find a goal. Bounces around and nobody really gets caught. Both teams disengaging. Just a little bit of an ultimate burn, that fight. I don't think it was necessary for each team, but Printers definitely did get good damage on top of Zombie. And I think if Printers can really abuse his invisibility like he has been so far, I think that's might be what turns the game and kind of gives advantage. But this dual lane, ShadyByrd's trying to jump on top of Mario Brothers again, forced to use the beads and the taunt. Printers is back, not even Spence to try to save out his carry. But luckily enough space is going to be made, but Mario Bros is still looking down about 2 with a wave walking in. Insert getting bold and brash, looking directly at the low carry. Astral Barrage forced up, Printers is stuck. A nice taunt would secure the kill, but not enough is found. Mario Bros stepping up to save Printers now, with Spenspark coming in from behind, but opting not to really do much. In response, though, we got another rotation to solo lane by mid. Voulg might have some type of inkling because he's not stepping up. Zombies is trying to show face, but a wave's in here. The most annoying thing as a solo laner is to not be safe in your tower. Voulg opts to use the World Serpent just to... That was a very smart play. I gotta give him credit. I was curious what he was going to do there because he was really in a tight spot. That World Serpent was a beautiful use of trying to save yourself from a bad situation.
Yeah, not electing to use that that invis to escape away, but actually electing it to juke around. But CosmicVibez taking a lot of damage here in the mid lane. Apple of Discord was used, and to no avail, no target found. But beads expelled on CosmicVibez right there, and now a green buff invade coming out from ShadyByrd. So beads on the mid laner, green buff down for the enemy support. Sunbreakers are really setting the pace this game. And again, going back to, if you look at their comp, they can initiate a lot of these fights, but Mario Bro actually dashed in aggressively and is going to get soloed by Koala. I'm not quite too sure why you're dashing in right there, Mario Bro, but maybe you were feeling yourself, and unfortunately falling to KoalaMang and just extending the little bit of a lead that Sunbreakers has even more by falling right there. And once these team fights start, you've got an Athena dash taunt coming out. You've got ShadyByrds on the Camazotz, but actually KoalaMang losing half its HP to Pwuntahs. Beads used as well. Defender of Olympus coming in as well, and if you're the jungler for Stormcallers, you're feeling pretty good about using Assassinate and getting so much value out of Sunbreakers.
That beads wasn't even really necessary. If you saw, he was out, he was gone. But I guess you're scared of the Loki invis too, so I can't really say what that was for. In the soul lane, Cakes is getting low, hops in the cloud for safety, but I don't know how much health he's gonna get. Problem is, he can't see where Voulg is, but Voulg can't see where ShadyByrd is. The Ox is gonna get Cakes away, but I don't think he wants to be away too long. ShadyByrd sitting around, gonna invade another buff camp. Stormcallers is starting to suffer from death by 1,000 cuts, as I like to call it, where they're just getting invaded and they're giving too much to Sunbreakers. And they really need something. They need to be on their camps now. Printers needs to do something besides die. Gets blown up by ShadyByrd. CosmicVibez forced to run away. Like I was to finish my point though, I feel like they really need to start getting a handle on their own buff timers, because ShadyByrd is just living rent free in these back camps. He got blue, red's now up, and he's gonna opt to go for that. This is not looking good for Stormcallers.
Yeah, a lot of free invades coming out again. Sometimes it's very difficult for some teams to be on their camp timers, and the teams that are on those camp timers always significantly have a better early game because of just all that little bit of extra farm that you're denying. You don't get a lot of golden experience for taking camps from in your opponent's jungle. However, you are denying that team of getting that farm in the first place, which is a lot more of a valuable thing than it is to get the experience for yourself. It's just deny it from your enemy team as much as you can. And here we're at the 12-minute mark, and it looks like Sunbreakers are actually just going to get this first beacon spawn with next to no contention coming out.
Gold Fury is going to be pushed away by KoalaMang. Pwuntahs is going in, using a lot. Jolts out. KoalaMang's now stuck without his CC immunity in the ultimate. Used it to try to save himself. Not enough. Mario Bros gets KoalaMang. But now, while Mario Bros is stuck in a position of his own, went up to try to save it. Drops down into a bat, a tiger, and even more. Athena popping out too. Spenspark trying to run and gun. Get out of there. Get out, Spence! The tower's not safe, and ShadyByrd picks him up despite doing a nice little dance. Printers is now stuck under tower. Same problem. And too many in too little a tight space. But they're still fighting anyway. Everyone's so low. Not enough damage to confirm. Here comes the wave, though, allowing ShadyByrd to actually cross the tower's threshold. CosmicVibez, the healthiest one there. Voulg's coming. Voulg just a bit too late, but maybe not. Gets the enough damage to stop the bat. CosmicVibez gets the kill with a nice little noxious fumes. I didn't think Voulg was going to get that. He caught me on that. I didn't think the circle was big enough.
Yeah, Noxious Fumes does collect that one. And again, I always laugh a little bit whenever I see that happen, because that ability does like 8 damage a tick or something like that. It's so little
feels
damage.
bad, though. Yeah. It so feels bad. But I was surprised Voulg stopped that back, though. I was so ready to be like, oh, she's going to get it off. But that little extra tidbit on the outside of the circle allowed Voulg to stop Insert from backing and got Cosmic there in time. So that was just beautiful on both fronts.
Yeah, and if we take a look at these mid laners right here as well, I mean, they're both even level right now. They both have, I believe, 1 stack on their coin as well. So both of them are relatively even right now when it comes to their levels and their builds. Even after all that team fighting, unfortunately, only 1 kill going the way of CosmicVibez in that last fight. And so with that, only 1 stack, even though it was over there under that tier 1 tower in mid for such a long period of time. And it looks like a little bit of activity coming in, maybe a potential gank, but ShadyByrd's electing not to. Just going to go invade some more farm over there at their second back camps here on the right-hand side of the map. And just go ahead and collect those and extend the lead even more over Pwuntahs, who is now 2 levels down. A 4-0-1 lead for this Camazotz ShadyByrd is really feeling themselves this game and can really start to set the pace.
Oh no. Pwuntahs trying to stop ShadyByrd, but Defender of Olympus comes in. getting Athena just a bit behind the Camazotz who elected to hop, and I think that was the interaction that happened there. I'm not sure, because I would have thought that she would have been right on top of him, but manages to give Pwuntahs the opportunity to escape. And we've seen Pwuntahs elect to try to do some of these ganks here, a lot of them in the duo lane. And I think that's kind of where he's starting to lose out on his farm. But not only that, he's losing out on his farm, but ShadyByrd just living rent-free in the back. Big taunt comes out for the Apple. Spark. He has nowhere to go. Riptide not going to save him. CosmicVibez now suffering from a bat of hell. And he drops down to ShadyByrd, who's now 5-0. Stormcallers needs to shut this jungle down. Someone needs to get the boost here. ShadyByrd fighting Pwuntahs under this tower, getting a bit too bold, but there's a solo kill in the duo lane. Mario Bros turning it around for his team and getting the solo kill on KoalaMang. Pwuntahs now trying to contest, get this. Oh, he can't get the bounty on ShadyByrd's head. ShadyByrd hops on top of him. Goomba stomp. Pwuntahs falls to the bat.
Yeah, really great team fight coming out from Sunbreakers, doing a little bit of corner baiting and utilizing their ward vision to catch out Spark there, rotating in, looking at the Pyromancer, and with that, just caught out way too far, and with no way to get out. Riptides were not saving you from that one, Spark, and because of that as well, CosmicVibez also catching the tail end of that as well with the bat out of hell, cleaning up that kill. And it just the mid pressure that's coming out right now with this presence that ShadyByrd has in the jungle, in the laning, in the lanes, rotating in, is just a little bit too much right now for Stormcallers to handle. And so they really got to get a grasp on this bat and be able to take him down. And if they can take him down and get down that shutdown gold, they might be able to stand a chance. But ShadyByrd is doing a lot of damage in a lot of these team fights. And Spark's coming over here looking at KoalaMang and actually catches out with the Riptide.
Riptide out. KoalaMang pushed back in, but that's where he wants to be. This Defender Olympus. Light arrows coming in. Mario Bros can't get to the sky quick enough, and those waves are not going to save Spark. A gank gone wrong. ShadyByrd exerting oodles of power into this duo lane and turning around an entire fight. Not to take anything away from Insert, who dropped in Defender Olympus style and saved his teammate and allowed him to re-engage. CosmicVibez looking to try to get his shot at the bounty, but now he's being pincered by 2. Gold Fury's going to fall to Sunbreakers, as Stormcallers can't really seem to do anything.
A lot of vision coming out from Sunbreakers, and maybe it's just from that extra gold they have right now. Again, about around 4K gold up right now. The first big lead of the game. It's been slowly trending in the direction of Sunbreakers all game. However, I'd say Stormcallers always had a decent chance of being able to fight back into it. And this second beacon spawning right now, and I'm not sure I want to step up to this one, Spence. You might want to get yourself out of that one. And we'll do just that. All 5 members standing on that beacon, and it will go the way of Sunbreakers. That's 2 beacons going their way this game and extending their lead even more, getting that global gold into their pockets. And the gold differential is starting to have an impact. We already see some finished items coming out on some members of Sunbreakers that Stormcallers do not have. We see a 3rd item finish for the jungler. We see a 3rd item finish for the mid laner. It's just extending even more, even in the solo lane a little bit as well. And so with that, they have a little bit of extra gold in their pocket. They're getting a lot of vision. And unfortunately, Stormcallers have not had the vision control for a lot of this game. There's been so many wards deep within Stormcallers jungle, which allow them to catch out members like Spark.
Spark getting caught using the torrent, the Riptide. I've called it so many different things, but you understand what I'm saying, to get away. And one thing I got to say is, the Stormbreakers are suffering from the Sunbreakers. Stormcallers are suffering from the ganks of the Sunbreakers, because Sunbreakers have been able to make every gank that comes from ShadyByrd or even Insert impactful, right? If you see one of those 2 there, someone's gonna, like, they're gonna get a pick. They're gonna get a kill. Like when they're stuck in the T1 in dual lane, they made sure they got at least 1, maybe 2. Maybe it didn't go their way that one fight, but they're always getting value out of the rotations. It always feels that Stormcallers are making these rotations, which are fine to help each other out, but it seems like they actually lose stuff, because you'll see that Pwuntahs is there, but he might be all the way in dual lane. ShadyByrd's in his his back camp. ShadyByrd's on the blue. He's on the XP. He's on the red. Or if Printers is helping out mid, ShadyByrd is maybe in the XP camps on Gold Fury side, right? So Stormcallers really need to kind of make a plan if they're going to gank. Not just a, hey, I'm ganking. It's, we have to bait this out, do this, so then I can do this and this. And it's hard to really plan that, but that's exactly what's got to happen. There's got to be more of a point rather than just do damage. But it looks like do damage is going to be the idea here, fighting over the Pyromancer to make sure nothing's given away for free. 2 ultimates, Bat out of Hell, and the Cloud Somersault being used. BoolCakes is now stuck with no real way to get out. Mario Bros makes Bool drop for the first time this game, and now Stormcallers has an advantage looking into 3. KoalaMang now trying to join in this right in the back of the tier 1. Pyromancer looking the way of Stormcallers. Don't know if they're gonna leash or commit. Looks like they're gonna neither do neither. Pyromancer's gonna get pulled and done. Voulg gonna fall to KoalaMang for it. KoalaMang trying to use the arrows to pick up a little bit more, but just can't seem to find a target. Now we got 4 strong and a 4. 2 separating off to do their own little dance, make that 3-3 and a little 1v1 on the side. Don't know what's gonna happen. Sunbreakers are trying to push this T1 to get there for punishment for taking theirs in that last fight. And despite losing one, Stormcallers really got a lot going, forcing KoalaMang under the tower. Shield wall coming out to try to do a bit more damage and just give it a little peel for KoalaMang. That Pyromancer fight, I would say, went in the way of Stormcallers because they got another pick, they got the Pyromancer, and they got a tower. Voulg might have died, but that was one of those times where that's a death worth it. You kept their ADC away from the objective after you guys got the tower, or they didn't get the tower, excuse me. I don't know why I thought they had the tower. But they got Pyromancer regardless, and despite Voulg dying, he at least made sure that Sunbreakers didn't steal that from his team.
Tier 1 tower did end up going the way of Sunbreakers there over in the solo lane, managing to make it a 1-for-1 trade over there. Voulg already had taken the solo lane tower of Sunbreakers a few minutes ago, but on the tail end of that fight, ShadyByrd ended up walking over and split pushing down that Tier 1 tower in right lane and evening up the towers a little bit. So still around a 4K gold lead coming out from Sunbreakers. And it looks like the next objective that these teams are going to be looking at is this Primal Fury. Oracle's going the way of Sunbreakers, and so they will have the vision on that for the next little while. And with that, they might be able to start looking towards this Primal Fury. I wouldn't expect them to want to take this Primal Fury until they elect to get a pick, and a pick they might just do, dashing in a Mario Bro, but missing the taunt, a little bit too far around the corner there for Mario Bro. He ended up sniffing that one out thanks to his ward placement.
ShadyByrd getting a bit bold here, trying to get caught out. If we're looking right now at the levels, the biggest discrepancy I see right now is between Spence Spark and Insert. I think Spence been doing a bit too much ganking, and he needs to really find a lane and tell someone, hey, kill that stuff so I get the XP. And I think Stormcallers needs to farm. They just need to farm up. They need to get these level 20s where the only person besides the support who doesn't have it is BoolCakes, and he's just 1 level away. Meanwhile, Printers isn't there. Cosmic is kind of Cosmic is down a level on his mid laner. We do have 2 level 20s out, but I think farming for gold is the best way to go here. What is your take? What do you want to see Stormcallers do to kind of swing this back? What do you want to see Sunbreakers do to kind of end it?
They have some ward coverage around the Primal Fury, and there's only 1 ward over on the Fire Giant itself. If Stormcallers get a ward over there, they have the DPS to be able to shred down a Fire Giant around the same time that this Primal Fury would fall the way of Sunbreakers. So they could elect to sneak it, but they're actually going to be contesting it. Taunt coming out from Insert, and a little bit of poke already on CosmicVibez.
All forced to back off. Stormcallers now just trying to poise up to not allow this beacon to go in. Voulg's underground, knocks up 3, causes a lot of panic. River's Rebuke to help set it up, but ShadyByrd pushes CosmicVibez away. Doesn't matter. Mario Bros gonna find KoalaMang in all this. Bat out of Hell used to help confirmation on Spence Spark. Mario Bros goes down. Double kill for BoolCakes. Voulg now trying to get out of the fight, leaving the beacon up for Sunbreakers. Might be the only reason Voulg gets out of there with his life. that did not go the way of Stormcallers, and I gotta say it's because ShadyByrd was allowed to just hop on Cosmic and not let him go. Cosmic was the damage. He has the bombs, the waves, the stuns, the fire, but he just got deleted. ShadyByrd's just doing way too much damage for him to handle by himself. Cosmic needs the help of his support or a soul lane or something to stick by his side, because ShadyByrd does a lot of damage, but he doesn't have protections. You gotta blow up Shady. You have to blow up Shady. And once they kill Shady, someone's gonna get the bonus. It's gonna be a huge swing, and then I think Sunbreakers might not really know what to do with themselves, because we've seen Mario Bros take out KoalaMang a couple times. Cosmic is throwing big damage out. Voulg's handling his own. But this ShadyByrd is just such a menace. He's just unstoppable.
Yeah, 7-0-7 for the jungler on Sunbreakers, and another Pyromancer going their way. They got a second bomb there in their pockets. And so with another team fight going their way and their lead getting extended even more, they can now go ahead and look towards these Titan in mid, as they have gotten all 3 of the Stingent Beacon spawns. And with this Titan, they can push in, kill this Titan, and with the pressure that the Titan is going to be providing the team, can actually just look to probably just take this Fire Giant mostly uncontested. Stormcallers will send some people over to show face if they elect to do that, or they might be able to just win a team fight off of this as well, as all 5 members are grouped in on this Titan. But actually looks like they're going to take the safer option of the 2, which is to just take this Primal Fury, and then with that, probably look to transition over towards that Fire Giant.
And now this Primal Fury is going to go down without a fight. Stormcaller's forced to deal with the Titan in mid. And the one thing I'm going to say, though, is I'm happy, and I'm happy and sad that they took away the Fire Giant sound for when the Titans fight, because I'm not confused anymore. But now I can barely notice when the Titans are actually going to fight. You know what I mean? I feel like that sound goes a bit unnoticed, because when you hear a Fire Giant sound, your ears just like perk up, right? And then this new one is kind of like, what's happening? At least for me. So
it'll take some getting used to. It's still fairly new to you, so
yeah, I feel I miss it. But BoolCakes trying to push out mid lane, trying to get the space that he can for his team, getting caught by Cosmic and forced away. But I think we're going to start seeing Sunbreakers poise up for this Fire Giant, despite Stormcallers do have wards over there, but I want to see a couple more being bought. If you look at Sunbreakers' inventory, look at all those wards. Look at all of them. Everyone has a sentry ward, and 2 people actually have regular wards. Well, only 2 people have bombs, and then 1 person has just pots. So it's just full of opportunity. Despite if you look at Stormcallers, they got a couple wards and a bomb. I want to see more wards for Stormcallers, because if they have the knowledge that Sunbreakers has right now on Stormcallers, it'll be over. Voulg getting caught in the back by Zombie. Unfortunate. And now Stormcallers are down their solo laner. I don't know how much you're going to be able to contest this Fire Giant. Sunbreakers picking it up. BoolCakes causing chaos in space, trying to zone him off, but he can't find that sneaky Loki. Fire Giant's getting low. Loki's in there. Sunbreakers do confirm it. Predators gets confirmed by an apple and a cudgel. BoolCakes getting the kill there. 3 people left to defend the base right now, as Voulg has about 25 seconds left and Printers even more. We're going to need big damage and big opportunity coming out. If I'm Sunbreakers, this is where I'm going to push to win.
And they can do just that. That's all 5 members with this Fire Giant, and a level 15 HP Spent Spark, a River's Rebuke coming out, but bombs being used on the Bird, and it's already down below half.
Bird's below half, but not really dropping much more, as Sunbreakers going for kills. It might be their downfall. So many of them just so low. They do get the Bird, but Insert's low. KoalaMang's not really too healthy, and Bool is half health. Voulg trying to pursue, but thinking a bit better of it. If they committed to that Bird, they might have been able to swing a bit more, and they didn't even find a kill in all that, despite going for them. So, it was definitely a bonus, but it's only a solo lane Bird. So, you're not really forcing the team to deal with a far-off Bird when it comes to the next Fire Giant, or anything like that. But Sunbreaker's looking to re-engage. Agni Bomb's used to push him away. Defender Olympus coming in. Spence Spark barely dodges the cat, but gets caught out by the bat. ShadyByrd hopping on him, getting the kill. KoalaMang deleting Printers, who got caught with an apple. Now it's 4 and 3 right now. Mario gets caught in a taunt so low. ShadyByrd just diving in, not able to find the final damage. BoolCakes tanking the Phoenix. KoalaMang dashing out of harm's way. Voulg's not seen, but here comes the cat again. Taunt and a stun. Voulg's now caught out, trying to bellow to get away. KoalaMang gonna find the kill. Now it's only 2 people left to defend the entire base against 5. Spark is gonna be up soon, but with him only level 15 against level 20s, this is just kid in a candy store for Sunbreakers.
Yeah, Stormcallers aren't necessarily grouping up as they should be. It seems that their comms are a little bit off, and because they all keep going in one at a time. Princes ults in, assassinates in front of 5 members of Sunbreakers and gets eviscerated for it. And then shortly after that, Voulg steps back up out of the Phoenix in front of 3 members of Sunbreakers, but you are already a half HP Yorm. You do not have the sustain or the escape after you already used the World Serpent to get away from them. And beads were already expelled as well, thanks to the taunt under that tier 2 tower in mid. So you're just a sitting duck, and Yorm getting falling to that fight as well. And no members of Sunbreakers losing this Fire Giant yet. Gold Fury going their way, and now we're going to be looking to take down this last tier 2 tower on the map and extend their lead even further this game in Sunbreaker's favor here 31 minutes into this game.
Stormcallers have to do something big here. Next Fire Giant's going to come up is going to become an EFG, so they're able to afford to lose that first one. But like you said, I think you said it perfectly. They need to team up. They need to work around. I think it's going to be all around CosmicVibez. I've seen those bombs hit, and I've watched Sunbreakers forced to rethink what they're going to do after Cosmic drops 1 bomb on them. Imagine if he can get 2, 3. If Spark can set him up with a nice Rivers Rebuke like they did in that Phoenix defense too, I think they have an opportunity to really swing it around, but they need a plan. None of this jumping in stuff. None of this, I'm just going to jump in and you guys follow. No, there needs to be a target. Something to do. All right, let's get ShadyByrd. We know he's going to go for Cosmic, so let's bait him into Cosmic and just give him this opportunity. But this is what I'm talking about. Voulg getting caught a little too far out, and so is Printers forced to use a blink, but the only thing he has from his invisibility, and with so many spread out, ready to look for him, I don't know how well he's going to be able to get away. Right behind Insert, but Insert heard him pop up. They're all surrounding him. Assassinate forced to come out. Here comes the beads, and Printers dies. This is what I'm talking about. They're just getting themselves picked out and going into bad spots. Decisions need to be made and adhered to. A plan needs to be brought into it, because right now I'm not seeing a team playing. I'm seeing a whole bunch of talented individuals play into a talented team.
Yeah, Elixir of Defense popped on this Wukong as well. BoolCakes is going to be incredibly tanky with an extra 50 of each protections. Well, alongside some damage mitigation and crowd control reduction, this Wukong is going to be a force to be reckoned with, diving into the backline and being incredibly tanky. And there's just not too much of an opening right now with Stormcallers. They just aren't staying grouped up as 5 and looking for these fights. And Sunbreakers are just able to walk in and pick off. They walk up and they pick off Voulg's ultimate. They walk in and they pick off Pwuntahs and just take him out of the equation immediately. And they just get to continue doing that because they are grouped up as a team, and Stormcallers just are not doing the same. This EFG is already down below 10%. Voulg's going to ult in trying to look for it, but I don't know if this World Serpent's going to get it in time.
Stormcallers gets it! Stormcallers secures the Fire Giant! Voulg managed to bring out a big play! Really clearing up and cleaning up himself for getting picked at that blue buff. That was amazing! We'll say it was with a very safe ultimate, but to use it as he did and the perfect timing to get it as well. This is what Stormcallers needs. They have the EFG. Stormcallers, make a plan, please. Voulg made a plan. He executed it perfectly. There was an idea and it was done very well. This is your opportunity to take it back. Reconvene. Take a minute and think your next step. He gave you a foothold. Now take it. You have the inch. Take the mile. We see that Voulg is putting up again, but it's 2 into 4. This is what I'm talking about. You need a plan. He's trying to run away, getting caught out. River's Rebuke to cause space, but Voulg is just being pursued. Falls down to ShadyByrd, and there goes Spence Spark to the apple. Zombie gets a kill. Stormcallers again getting caught out, and now there's 5 strong, not even thinking about this EFG on the Stormcallers' belts, not giving it a second thought. Moving in, Defender of Olympus to allow BoolCakes to tank just a bit more. Mario Bros getting picked out using the beads to create space. Here comes the blink, but a perfect Aegis to save him in time. Brent is in the back getting caught, trying to do what he can, but the Assassinate's going to use not to engage, but to disengage. Mario Bros trying the best they can, but KoalaMang gets CosmicVibez out. Titan falls. Sunbreakers victory. That was such a riveting end, I gotta say, because Stormcallers really kind of started bringing it back. Voulg got that EFG, and that was a huge thing, but I feel like Sunbreakers really won this game, but I feel more like Stormcallers lost it for themselves as well, if that makes sense. I don't want to take anything away from Sunbreakers because they played such an amazing game of Smite, but I want to see Stormcallers. I know they have so much potential. They showed these little nuggets of possibility, but this next game they need to play as a team. No more of this individual stuff. You need to talk with each other, and you need to do stuff together.
To me, this game kind of felt like a little bit of a comp diff when it came down to it near the end of that game. The Sunbreakers came in with a definitive comp of what it is that they wanted to do, and they executed exactly that, and they did it flawlessly. Whereas Stormcallers on the opposite side, when you look at their comp and you really think about it, where is the initiation? Who is starting these fights and setting up some CC on a target to pick them off to start snowballing through the team fight and start putting a lot of pressure on Sunbreakers? And when you're looking at their comp, to me, it was a full damage Loki, but a full damage Loki is not going to give you enough setup because he will just get eviscerated there in the jungle. You have a backline support that's looking to sit back and heal up your team and sustain. You got River's Rebuke to set up for some team fights, but to initiate those team fights at the beginning, River's Rebuke just is not that ability. And you had a Yorm in the solo lane, but Yorm was behind the entire game and unfortunately wasn't able to rotate out to a lot of those fights. And so then it kind of falls down to Loki at that point. But if you're using a Loki to set up for these team fights, you should be picking some other gods in the jungle to look to do that. The Hunbats ended up getting banned by them in that second game, and unfortunately, they probably should look to take that Hunbats for themselves and use those Fear No Evils to help set up for a lot of these team fights, because there was just no damage that was able to get out because there was little to no CC setup coming out for the members on Stormcallers. And meanwhile, on the opposite side, you look at Sunbreakers, their comp had definitive initiation and a Camazotz that could blink in and burst you down instantly and chase you down with Bat Out of Hell. You had an Athena that could dash in or Defender of Olympus in and taunt you, and the team can follow up off that damage. You had a Strife that could root you in place and set up for that damage. A Wukong that can just walk up and just press all of his buttons on your forehead, you know? So you had so many different ways and avenues of being able to get into the team fights to set up what it is you want to do if you're the Sunbreakers. Whereas if you're the Stormcallers, you didn't have those options. You had an Assassinate, and that's about it. So just unfortunately, it just came down to a little bit of some comp diff between these two teams. And again, Stormcallers looked like they were really trying to get some plays out in a lot of those engagements, but with their comps, it was just not fruitful. There was just not a whole lot that they could get from that. Whereas with the Sunbreakers, once they got that lead, they had so many different avenues of initiation and chase down. They could really start to snowball that game, and they did exactly that. They got a hold of that lead and they ran with it the entire game.
I would have to agree with you on most part, but I do feel like they're the piece of the puzzle that Stormcallers did have. They just didn't use them to the best ability. They could have had more. I do believe the comp definitely worked in Sunbreaker's favor. But I think the biggest evidence of that is when they were defending the beacon. I think it was the second beacon. We saw Voulg go in stealthily, did it perfectly, popped up, got a 3-man knockup. But the problem was Cosmic was stuck going to his tower, and Spence Spark was going in the jungle, so ShadyByrd just walked up to Cosmic and blew him up, and then you couldn't really take advantage of the initiation that Voulg gave. So I think the pieces were there. Maybe not the best pieces. I will say Sunbreakers definitely had better pieces, but I do think Stormcallers had the parts to do it with. They just didn't use them to their best of the ability. But it's now game 3. Like we said, Sunbreakers was forced to forfeit game 1. It's game 3 now, and you shake that off. You learn from it. You go, all right, we didn't play to our best. We were we were more individuals than we were a team. Let's decompress, shake it off, and fix it in this game 3. We were gifted game 1. We were allowed to take that warm-up game, like, all right, we'll just get loose, get ready. All right, because they were forced to wait, so now they were a bit cold, a bit tense. Now it's out of the way. Jitters are gone. Take it. You really got to really find it within yourselves and just take this next game. You have the opportunity. Bans coming out now. We got Sun's favorite ADC, Martikaris, being banned by Sunbreakers. Stormcaller is going to opt for the Daji Respect ban and picking up the Kali as usual.
Pretty standard stuff for the most part, except this time a Discordia getting taken away from Zombie. Zombie did look very strong with the Discordia hitting a majority of the apples of Discord and locking down members of Stormcallers not being able to use their escapes. And then on top of that, those strifes looked very good that game and were able to group up members close to each other once they both get taunted towards each other and really allow for their team to
Wisdom shall be my
jump in
shield.
on top of those members. And Stormcallers taking a book out of Sunbreakers this game and first picking the Athena as Sunbreakers did in game number 2. And with that, taking it away from Insert, who looked incredibly strong and very comfortable on that Athena pick. But as they go ahead and get that first pick, the Sunbreakers go ahead and take away the Wukong as well. BoolCakes looked phenomenal on the Wukong pick in game number 1.
Did.
Very dominant in the solo lane and was having some great team fights and initiating for his team there in the mid to late game. And so very good. And with that Discordia ban coming through as well, Hachiman made his way through the bans and Sunbreakers elect to pick up Hachiman as their ADC over there in the long lane.
law returns to this
Voulg
land.
gonna pick up Tyr instead of the Yorm this game, and I am interested to see how this is gonna go. I think it provides some similar problems with that Bull. Bull can't be knocked up, knocked back, so Tyr might not be able to take advantage of it, but this might allow Voulg to get more CC on. We know Tyr got that buff in his ultimate, now he can actually stun people with it. And then take advantage of the stun with more CC. So maybe Voulg can set up more. We know Tyr loves his blink. So Voulg can really get in there now. He might be able to set it all up, but it might be thrown down. Ganesh is always a problem. That silence could just really get you caught out, especially if you're trying to dash in or fearless or, power cleave into something.
Yeah, an incredibly strong lane on both sides for the duo lane side. We've got an Athena Rom for Stormcallers and a Hachi Nesha for Sunbreakers. And so there's going to be a lot of battling over there in the long lane. I wouldn't be surprised by that. And then some pretty standard bans coming out against Sunbreakers, electing to ban the Susanoo and Bakasura in the second ban phase, as they did in game number 2. And Camazotz and Hunbat's bans coming out from Stormcallers, still taking away that Hunbat's. Maybe that's something ShadyByrd has that I'm not aware of. Again,
That's
I haven't
what I
gotten
was
to
thinking too.
see
I
a
was
whole
thinking
lot
his
of
target.
these Immortal games, but maybe he's got a Hunbats, and that's something to take off the table. So, and the Camazotz as well. And again, undying there in that second game on the Camazotz. So just taking away something that looked incredibly dominant for ShadyByrd. And Sunbreakers getting their next pick out of here. I wouldn't be surprised if they elect for their mid laner right now, as they did in game number 2, and with that leaving a flex option for what their jungler can do, as they elected to do in that second game.
Now, I'm curious to see this game if ShadyByrd was just a menace on the Camazotz, or if it's the play himself, because he was in their jungle all day. Stormcallers couldn't really do anything about it, right? So we saw ShadyByrd doing blues and reds and XPs and gold camps and all this stuff, and Stormcallers didn't really say anything. So I'm curious to see if that was the ability of Hun Bats having that damage, like the bats, the screech, the hop, all that clear potential early, or if it's ShadyByrd able to really kind of take advantage and just good placement by ShadyByrd. So coming out of this jungle pick, I think it's going to be something you're going to have to learn to respect, especially if it's going to be Arachne. And I don't know if that's the call. She's definitely had a tough time in jungle as of lately, but instead it's going to be Pele, and that's going to be another problem. This shockwave knockup, I got to say, is one of the biggest problems, one of the best CC moves any jungler has, because the one thing about knockups, right, is you can't reduce it, right? You can reduce the time a stun takes, you can reduce the time a root takes, diminishing returns, but you can't do that with a knockup because you don't jump faster, you don't fall faster. It's the same thing every time. So Pele, you're always going to be stuck in the air for X amount of time with Pele, and she can disrupt the whole team with it too. So she blinks on top of Cosmic, and they're trying to save him. Knockup comes out, all of a sudden Cosmic's knocked up, she's beating the snot out of him, he can't do anything. Spence is trying to get by, but then that shockwave catches him, so he's up in the air, and Cosmic is just trying to run away, but then Pele chases him. So I think that's a beautiful, beautiful pick. But the one thing I think is going to hinder Shady is no safety in ultimate. That Bat Out of Hell did wonders and allowed him to be as aggressive as possible. At this point, you don't really have that anymore.
Yeah, Eruption, a really good ability, as you're saying, on Pele, and especially being able to knock up members potentially on top of a Nesha, a Dharmic Pillars wall. So that is a lot of damage that can come out from being able to just hold them in that one place for a long period of time. And if they're caged in from the Dharmic Pillars, you can also look to initiate with that Volcanic Rush coming out from Pele. And a Yuhong pick coming out for Stormcallers as well. I know Cosmic really loves this pick, and not a god. I cannot say I have seen anybody play Yuhong yet this season here in SDL. So this will be my first seeing it. So I'm incredibly excited to see, and I think I could say the same about a Mercury as well. Another pick that not a lot of teams are looking at and can definitely have a better job of being able to initiate with Mercury's ultimate and set up a little bit more. Alongside, we have a tier Lawbringer coming in on top of these team fights, an Athena dash taunt, again, as we were saying in game number 2. So a lot more initiation, a lot more setup, and a lot more CC for Stormcallers this game, which is what I wanted to see improved from their game number 2 draft. And a Raw being the final lock-in for Sunbreakers. A little bit of sustain on the back end of their team as well. Some snipes coming in with a lot of CC setup coming out from Sunbreakers as well. This Raw might be a menace with these Searing Pains.
Stormcallers, like you said, has a lot of CC of their own, but a lot of it is setup CC too. So you get Fearless into a wall or Athena taunt. You need someone to follow up. So that things can't be done alone. Stormcallers, if they're opting to go this comp, they really need to work together. Mercury can sit there and he can dash into someone, he can rocket across the lane, spin, pop him up, but if there's no one really to kind of take advantage of it, he's going to really need to rely on his crits. Tier, especially if you're going tankier, he can't do the damage that he might need to. So, but I do think Stormcallers has the opportunity to kind of take it from Sunbreakers, a bit more control. Control of the player themselves, right? So the taunt drags people nearby, the Fearless can pin him against a wall, you got a root, so you can control their placement. Sunbreakers doesn't really have much of that because you have the dash stun from Ganesh and you have the stun from Hachiman and Sun Wukong, but they're all mostly single target ones. Only real AoE SCC you have is from Pele. So that might be the advantage Stormcallers needs to really take here, is that you have a lot of group CC. You can really affect and move bodies, so do it. Don't let them take advantage of that. So now we're going to go into Game 3 of Sunbreakers versus Stormcallers, and we will see you on the battlefield. Hello and welcome, SDL compatriots. You are looking very cute today. I'm Gearchief. With me, I've got Sun. Game 3, Stormcallers versus Sunbreakers. Let's get into the bloodshed.
bloodshed there might be this game too. A lot of aggressive picks from both of these teams, and some picks that we haven't gotten to see a whole lot of again this season. Again, the Yuhong, especially for CosmicVibez, is going to be something I'm going to be keeping my eye on a lot of this game, because again, Yuhong just is not one of those gods that a lot of players have opted to take in. Again, Dueling Dragons is a very hard ability, being able to set up for your team and getting that explosion damage off of grouping members up. And Celestial Flight, Yuhong's 3, is going to be incredibly difficult to match up against this Ra. Ra being able to set up a nice Searing Pain, because a Celestial Flight is in a really easy ability to predict where they're going to land, because you see exactly where they're going to land as they're drifting around. Sure, you get a little bit of extra mobility while you're in the air, but with a Searing Pain, it's not too difficult to hit that ability.
Coming out, trying to get a light beam and a heal on top. And this is such... There's just a lot of damage coming out of Sunbreakers, even in the duo lane. A lot of problems the Stormcallers are going to have. And one thing I will say with CosmicVibez in the safety of Yu Huang is that if Pele blinks, you can hop up in the air and really dodge all that. Mario Bros getting caught out low in the dash and silenced, but Spenspark doing an amazing job of body blocking and keeping Mario Bros in this. Here comes the dash and the shield wall. The taunt is good. Inserts low, but Koala doesn't care. He's going for the kill. Both dashes find nothing. Insert going back into Spence. The silence popping out. But it's very, very bold of Insert right now, who's pretty low.
Yeah, just go ahead and walk away from that one. They already cleared the wave, so they don't have to worry about necessarily sticking around in that wave after that. And instead, walking over to the gold buff over here, Spence trying to defend it, maybe potentially get a secure out of it. And just a little bit too early on that, and that goes the way of Sunbreakers. And taking a little bit of poke and losing a lot of mana, but your ADC got an entire wave to themselves, so they can already comfortably have a bit of a lead over KoalaMang there in the long lane. And we're seeing a similar story to game number 2 of a 3-man rotation over to this blue buff, this first blue buff, and this time there's no double kill going the way of Sunbreakers, but there might be one over here as BoolCakes is taking bridges down incredibly low.
And the big issue is that mid has been allowed to rotate to the blue so early. I don't know what the comms are like right now, but you'd think Printers would have tried to take the blue low and allow Voulg to get it in the safety of the tower. Maybe Cosmic would rotate. I just feel like that's something that the team should have been aware of. Despite it not going the way of Voulg, he managed to hit level 5. Big ultimate coming out, but the big issue right now is that Voulg, a stance switcher, has no real mana anymore. He's got no source of mana. Voulg has his buff, he's got the totem, and now Voulg is stuck with essentially 5-6 abilities and not really the mana to do anything. So if I'm Sunbreakers, I'm going to exploit that as much as I can. I'm either going to gank Voulg constantly and frequently and consistently and frequently, or I'm going to make sure that blue buff is constantly on our timer, because that's not something I want to deal with. ShadyByrd coming in. Volcanic Lightning forces Printer's Sonic Boom out. KoalaMang hopping on the horse around the corner, forcing Printers to blink. A lot expelled for a little bit of nothing. That was a lot of ultimates. And I would have said it would have been just fine enough, but you had to use the blink to get away from the Hachiman as well. So I will say that was definitely a close call for Printers, who tends to kind of get spaced out a lot. Here come the pillars. Mario Bros forced to use the beads, get caught by a dragon arrow, but allowed to get away. And this is getting very chaotic for the Stormcallers right now.
Yeah, Spenspark seems to be allowing a few too many solo waves going the way of Mario Bro, and is still a level down over KoalaMang, even though Spence has been giving up a lot of farm for his ADC to get ahead and just hasn't gotten to see it yet. We got a little bit of a gank coming out. Prince is looking at BoolCakes.
Dash and a spinning him or putting him to the wall, doesn't really find the damage. But now we got ShadyByrd coming in, looking to catch Pwuntahs, who might not know, but here comes Zombie again. 3-man rotate, but it's for the blue. There's no real defense of it at this point. CosmicVibez shows up, getting BoolCakes stuck, but a Bull and Ox is going to get him out of there. Right now, Stormcallers really needs to prioritize his blue. They got to let Voulg get some mana somehow.
Yeah, maybe you just look to counter invade. You got 3 members that you know are going to be on your blue buff. Maybe you just send a Mercury to go just solo the opposing blue buff on the opposite side. Just send a little agent over there to take that one out for you, and just try and get a little bit of farm as well for yourself. Again, you're losing your blue buff to 3 members. They are not getting a lot of experience and a lot of gold for 3 members rotating over there. They are denying you, but if you can deny them right back the exact same, it comes out to a nice even trade for the most part between the teams. So something that might be an option going forward in the future for Stormcallers if there's going to be so much of a contention over here on this blue buff. But CosmicVibez was on a little bit of a rotation right there, but unfortunately wasn't in a good position with ShadyByrd and Zombie, how they were posturing around that blue buff, just able to go ahead and clean that one up very quickly thanks to Celestial Beam. Really great high damaging ability early game for that Raw coming out. And again, with these early rotations as well, you can really start to snowball a lead, and we can already see that Voulg is falling 1 level down already in the solo lane, and with some invades coming out, Pwuntahs is also 1 level down there in the jungle. And again, we already saw Spence giving up 2 or 3 waves earlier in the game, and is already 1 level down as well, almost 2 levels down.
And like you were saying with that blue buff, they might not be getting much out of it, but I would agree that you just kind of need to take the loss and find wins elsewhere, and Cosmic is doing just that as he's level 9 into a level 8. But as a tier, you really rely on some point of mana, but Spence Spark's going to get caught out. ShadyByrd finds him on top of a Dharmic Pillars, a little too far up with not enough wards. But speaking of ganks, here comes the Sonic Boom. KoalaMang's beads fall just in time to get the spin, but I don't know if Pwuntahs can keep up, using a punch every so often and manages to get it. Challenger or Defender of Olympus comes in just to help out, but not exactly needed. But back to my point about this blue buff is tier really needs that blue buff, and I think they need to find a way to do something here, because now Voulg is just watching them take it. So I think you got to. I mean, I guess they said like, all right, we just cutting our losses here, finding wins elsewhere, and just telling Voulg, hey, buy a mana chalice or something, because that's what Tier's got to do. Tier is just ineffective if he can't get the mana, and they're really choking Voulg out here early. But they're trying to look to see if they can get something in mid. Unfortunately not. Insert dashes away. Spark now down 2 levels on Insert, and Stormcallers really need to start focusing on more effective ways to farm up.
And they're losing the farm game here in the early game, which is what happened in game number 2 right there. You can see once again ShadyByrd is posturing around these reds and back harpies and these blue buffs off cooldown. But on the opposite side, Pwuntahs is around this purple buff, but doesn't find the purple buffs up and just elects to walk away after the fact, not sticking around waiting to see, even though knows the cooldown of his teammate's purple buff. So it should be around the same time as well, but electing not to rotate around and just stick around in the jungle a few more moments in hopes for that. And ShadyByrd is now just cleaning up the jungle over here of Stormcallers, and Pwuntahs is going to show up to see it fall, but seeing it fall is not the same as getting it, but is going to try and get a kill instead.
A blink into a spin around. Beads used by ShadyByrd is now going to walk away, supported by BoolCakes. Defender Olympus is going to come out, but not necessary. Sonic Boom used. ShadyByrd going to dash away with Volcanic Lightning. BoolCakes creating space with the Ox and now just getting away. It just seems that a lot of these ganks are a bit disjointed from Stormcallers. Pwuntahs is using a lot to chase down a little bit. He Sonic Boomed after ShadyByrd, who had nobody else around him. And I believe he was probably 1 level down, now he's 2, but for the sake of the argument, we'll just say he was 1 level down. I don't know if he would have really killed ShadyByrd on his own at that point. It feels like if he had the Sonic Boom, say, for BoolCakes, who had more people around him, that would have been a better use out of it. So I think again, it comes down to making a plan and not just using all your abilities on the first person you see, because there was unfortunately no follow up coming out of on that ShadyByrd. Sonic Boom just put you too far away.
A 3-level deficit coming out in the support role right now, and Pwuntahs is trying to get a play over here on ShadyByrd, but actually gets deleted by the Dharmic Pillars and Eruption combination, like I had mentioned on the desk. And 1, 2, 3 snipes coming out for Mario Bros, but no kill onto KoalaMang to help try and trade. But Insert's rotating over, and Mario has to respect this. Cannot step up to this Nesha, full HP, full mana, no Dharmic Pillars to the name, but just the presence alone, KoalaMang is incredibly safe, and you don't know if other members are coming that way, as he went ahead and dewarded on his way in.
Though it does seem Sunbreakers are really exuding a lead, about 2k gold up, maybe a little less. Only good, my bad, a bit more, 2.8k up. It only up by 1 kill, so it just goes to show how effectively they're farming. And not only their camps, you can see ShadyByrd is constantly in the back camps of Stormcallers. So not only are they effectively farming them, they're anti-farming Stormcallers. And I think, like I said, it's death by 1,000 cuts, like the first game. You can't get your camps, you can't get your XP, you can't get your gold. So you're forced to allow Sunbreakers to do more. Right? All right, well, we can't contest this because we don't have the XP to do it. Well, that gives them more XP. We can't do that because we don't have the gold to do it. Well, now they have more gold. We can't defend Gold Fury. We can't defend Beacon. We can't defend this. You keep saying no, and you think they're all small losses, but they compound. Because right now we're seeing it happen on this Beacon. Voulg's trying to push away Zombie, and we got Spark coming in. Pwuntahs dashes in, but gets caught stunned on top of Dharmic Pillars and just gets erased. Challenging, a little bit disjointed. Spark gets the space he needs for his ADC, but falls in his place. Here comes Voulg right in middle of the tower, not really doing enough. Voulg trying to fight off this decoy, and it's giving him enough trouble. Insert's very low, Voulg's a bit low, but the damage dealers are ready to take the spot of the frontliners. 2 kills go the way of Sunbreakers in that fight, or just 1, and so no, 2 kills. They got Spark and Pwuntahs.
Another team fight going the way of Sunbreakers and starting to extend that lead even further. And a little bit of a disjointed team fight between the members. Pwuntahs goes in with the Sonic Boom and right smack dab in the middle of the beacon, but not a whole lot of teammates around to help follow up off of that setup ultimate coming in. And with that, ends up falling incredibly early on, and Spark doing the exact same, stepping up after the fact and really taking the brunt of all of Sunbreaker's damage and extending their lead even further. And still a 3-level deficit between these supports, and I don't really see this changing very much until we see some good farm coming out from Spark and also some good team fights coming out. They have the setup, they have the initiation, they just need to look to do it. But it's actually Insert that's initiating onto Spark, but looking to just show his presence a little bit more than anything, and has both of his relics already on the table, whereas Spark is behind and will not get it for at least another minute or two. And Pwuntahs has been doing a better job of getting their neutral farm, getting their own personal farm, but unfortunately not a whole lot else has been going their way. But also ShadyByrd hasn't even been looking towards the neutral farm, has actually been looking for some ganks and posturing around some objectives, and doing just that. Go ahead and deward Mario Bro over here, now incredibly unsafe over there in the long lane, and Gold Fury already starting to be shredded, and only one that has knowledge of this going on is Mario Bro.
Coming in, trying to get the snipe. Sunbreakers do confirm Gold Fury. Only contesting out of Stormcallers was that Astral Barrage. And here's where it goes, a death by 1,000 cuts, but it's the catch-22, right? You go in, well, you might lose in the fight of gold. Well, don't go in the idea of stealing gold. Go in with the thought, making them make a mistake. You know, make them dance around, make them lose some of the farm, do something. But I think it's gonna be, Stormcallers are in a tough spot. There's nothing much to say about that, and this game's really gonna go based on how well they can turn it around. Because it's not that Sunbreakers is just out fragging them. It's not that they're really getting beat up, and there's no one thing that's really the issue. It's just a bunch of compounding little issues. And that's always the worst part, because there's so many small things you got to kind of clean up on that it's not like it's not like the golden goose answer, right? Where it's like, all right, we need to do exactly this, you know? It's well, we have to make a more coherent plan. Well, how do we make a more coherent plan? Well, we got to add more of this. And with the coherent plans, Sunbreakers comes out, just execute a beautiful gank on top of Voulg, killing him underneath tower, and now doing the same to Mario Bro, who falls to KoalaMang. Spence Spark trying to give support that he can, but it's not enough. Just Sunbreakers is just making these beautiful and intelligent choices all throughout, and really challenging Stormcallers to do the same.
Yeah, electing not to contest that Gold Fury, but they ended up taking the Pyromancer, and with that, they kind of even out with the objectives a little bit. Gold still goes the way of Sunbreakers there, and then with that gank over there in the solo lane, extending their lead even further there for BoolCakes on the Wukong, who again looked phenomenal in game number 2 on this pick, and is doing much the same this game. Again, some really great Tiger stuns coming out for the Wukong. 0-0-3 for him right now, and all three of those setups, all three of those assists and setups that BoolCakes has been setting up perfectly for ShadyByrd to continue to get a lead over Pwuntahs in the jungle, 2 levels up, 3-0-1 for the Pele, and this Pele might not be done yet either. Mario Bros stepping up incredibly far without a tower, and 2 members are looking right at him, and I'm not sure if he's getting out of this one.
Trying to dash, get up, but the volcanic lightning hits before the astral barrage takes him to space. Down goes Mario Bros. And one thing I have to say about that is it's fine to step up, but you need the wards to support it. And the fact that Mario Bro wasn't able to pick up on ShadyByrd taking that long gank just goes to show that a bit better ward placement needs to go around in the jungle right now, especially if you're pushed back as far as you are. KoalaMang looking to go into Pwuntahs, who is 3 levels down, opts to try to sonic boom in, but here comes the charge on top of the horse, gets clipped by the wall. It doesn't matter. KoalaMang gets those dragon shots onto Pwuntahs, and Pwuntahs falls down, putting him even farther behind, and Stormcallers are now in an even tighter spot.
Pridger's doing an excellent job showcasing why Hachiman's ultimate of mounted archery is not necessarily the best ultimate, just hugging that wall as close as he can, and with that mounted archery not finding the damage to get the kill, but KoalaMang doing a great job of getting those eagle eye autos off for those ranged autos, and really finishing off that kill that they started. And an unfortunate death for Pwuntahs from a good juke, but with that, even more is starting to go the way of Sunbreakers, getting a little bit more farm. ShadyByrd is over here taking the beacon that just spawned, beacon number 2, going the way of Sunbreakers with little to no contention. CosmicVibez is the only one grouped up on that, and in the meantime, in between time, Dharmic Pillars being used to eviscerate a Primal Fury with all the pressure that KoalaMang has had this game, and another objective going the way of Sunbreakers. That's 2 in the last 10 seconds that just went their way, and they're already looking at this Pyromancer on top of that. Zombie more than likely securing that with a Searing Pain, does just that, and Voulg already down to half, and BoolCakes might not be done with this one.
Trying to use the Lawbringer to get away, creates the space, hops the wall, but the team's just looking down at this T1, and with them all such high levels, this T1 is merely a suggestion. There's no power behind it. Voulg blinks in, but he's too low to support it. ShadyByrd finds the kill on Voulg. I don't know what the plan was there. No one really stepped up far enough to take advantage of what Voulg was trying to do, and with such low health, it was just unfortunate. T2 going to be looked at as now 5 going into 3. Pwuntahs is opting for a split push. ShadyByrd gets a kill on Spence Spark, and I believe Zombie gets the kill onto Mario Bros, leaving Cosmic to try to defend this Phoenix all by himself, and he's having a tough time with the decoy. Nice root comes out to try to stop anybody else from coming in. Aegis out, but not enough. A little bit of a slap from the elephant confirms the kill for Zombie as he gifts it onto the Raw. This is just unfortunate. Constantly being picked off. Stormcallers one by one by one. And with a man down, they were 4 and a 5 that entire time. Sunbreakers just walked down entire mid lane. T1, got it, no problem. We're level 18s, 19s, on the verge of 20. T2, all right, we'll think about it. All right, we got a nice pick off. We'll push into T2, and we got another pick. All right, T2. Phoenix, you only got one guy protecting it. We're still 5 strong. This is ours. And Sunbreakers are just playing such solid Smite. And that's the best way to put it. It's just textbook Smite. Playing it perfectly. They're not taking too many chances. They're not taking bad chances. Everything is calculated. It's almost as if they have some type of supercomputer directing them, telling them where to go. It was Gold Fury, Beacon, Pyromancer, mid, Phoenix, then we're going to disengage. And this is not looking good for Stormcallers.
The objective play coming out from Sunbreakers is incredibly strong, and if I'm an Immortal player myself, I am keeping an eye on this team, and I'm keeping an eye on a lot of these objectives. Again, you just heard it. All the objectives just went down in such quick succession that the lead completely fell out of the grasp of Stormcallers. They have a very hard time of being able to make it back from this one. From a 10,000 gold lead coming out, KoalaMang getting collapsed on by 3 members, but with the mounted archery is going to disengage, and there's going to be no kill to be had right here as long as KoalaMang plays it well and just plays back. But meanwhile, on the opposite side, Fire Giant's going the way of Sunbreakers.
I think it's a perfect opportunity for Stormcallers to get this T2, but with losing Spark in the process is not looking too good. Fire Giant is just regular Fire Giant, unfortunate to say the least, but at least the carry doesn't have it, and Stormcallers does seem to be getting some towers for their troubles. So maybe I think that was one of the first good non-contests out of Stormcallers. They knew they couldn't do it, they knew it was a distraction, so they took towers with it. So now left is pushed up, mid is now a bit pushed up, giving them a bit of breathing room. So out of all the non-contests, I gotta say, I think that was the smartest thing I've seen them do between these 2 games.
They finally started to use their initiations to do just that, using Defender of Olympus to alt in and look for this pick on this ADC in the long lane all by themselves. They should have been doing this a lot earlier in the game, looking for a lot of these dives very deep, looking for these picks that are all by themselves, but unfortunately just have not been doing that. And in the process of them finally doing that, a Fire Giant falls the way of Sunbreakers to all 4 members. KoalaMang, unfortunately, not getting the better end of that Fire Giant, but surely not complaining over the fact that all 4 members of the team do in fact have that. And with the Gold Fury going their way as well, they can really start to push into this dual lane side and just take back that tier 2 tower that they just lost. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, Stormcallers are getting this tier 1 tower over in the solo lane, but still have to deal with these fire minions pushing into the mid lane, while all of the members of Sunbreakers are actually pushing in on this tier 2 tower right now and might be looking towards this Phoenix here momentarily.
All of Stormcallers is split, forcing the recall from Spark and Printers, giving Sunbreakers enough time to just start walking this down. Some of them do have EFG, and they're causing problems, but big numbers are coming out, forcing them to rethink. KoalaMang is pretty low, being juggled by Voulg, forcing also Cakes to use his ultimate and heal up, allowing his team to take the brunt of the damage, but they're turning it around. Mario Bros looking low. Voulg with a big Fearless to give his carry some breathing room and gets the kill on ShadyByrd. Insert falls to CosmicVibez. Stormcallers doing amazing work. God's work coming out. Spark gets the kill on Zombie. They're still 5 strong. This is their opportunity to turn it all around. Go for that mid-berg. Go for that tier 2. You guys have it. You're playing like a team, and it's showing. Turn it around, take advantage, and win this.
All 4 members pushing in. It looks like they're going to go ahead and eyeball that Pyromancer right now. Beacon is going to be spawning here momentarily as well, and it looks like Voulg is already standing on it and capturing that alone. Pyromancer does go the way of them, and 3 picks coming out as well. Only 1 member left for Fire Giant on Sunbreakers. Unfortunately, still losing that mid-bird to fire minions were Stormcallers, so they still have to be dealing with these fire minion waves, but saving the left bird, taking Fire Giant off of 3 members of Sunbreakers, and getting a little bit of gold and shutdown gold into your own pockets is definitely got to be a good feeling. Mitigating that 12K lead that the 12K deficit that Stormcallers had is now only looking around a 7K deficit. So not something that you would necessarily want to be fighting into, but we just saw them fight into a 12K deficit. So I think that's something that they can fight into for sure, especially with this Fire Giant still not respawning for another minute and a half. They can really start to reset, farm up their jungle camps. A lot of them are up right now, and we can already see Pwuntahs is doing just that. And with that, then they can start to get some vision over here in this right-hand jungle. But in the meantime, in between time, Sunbreakers are actually grouping up as all 5 members, and they're going to try and look to take this tier 2 tower, especially because the Titans are walking down this lane right now. Just go ahead and take out this Titan right now, and with a minute until Fire Giant respawns, they might just look to stall out Stormcallers a little bit and then walk straight to this Fire Giant.
Sunbreakers showing that they themselves will not be broken. The first mistake that they have made all set, and it wasn't really taken too much advantage of. They're not scared. They're pushing into this T2, ready to engage. 5 looking into it, only 3 here. Spence forced to rotate given time, trying to create this space that they can, give the opportunity for the Titan to get here full health so they can then attack onto the board. Here comes Voulg, big stun, insert got pulled back by CosmicVibez. Oh, Sonic Boom catching Zombie, who's now low. KoalaMang forced to run away. This is going amazing for Stormcallers, unfortunate for Breakers. 2 kills, Voulg getting KoalaMang. Printers getting Zombie. ShadyByrd gets a kill on Printers. Cakes is low, pinned to the wall by Voulg. Cosmic gets the kill, and it's another turnaround. Stormcallers is showing what they can do, and they're not afraid. They're going to take this, put it on their backs, and really take a victory out of this. Sunbreakers is now kind of caught on cold feet. They need to figure out what's going wrong. Sun, what is going wrong?
Again, I just think it's Stormcallers, their comp this game is just significantly better when it comes to initiating and reinitiating than it was in game number 2. When game number 2, they just had no way of being able to do what it is that they just did. And with that change in their draft this game, they can actually look to fight in. Even with these deficits, they can look to fight in. Only 5K deficit right now, and now all 4 members are looking on this Fire Giant, and ShadyByrd cannot walk in to steal this. Might be losing his HP, but Spence is the one boxing out, and looks like Dueling Dragons was used right there, but we got fire minions pouring into the Titan room still. We got this mid-bird that should be respawning momentarily, so Stormcallers need to get this bird back up, and then when that bird is back up, they can really start to look at some of these other objectives. There's 2 tier 2 towers. If I am Stormcallers, I'm looking to push up these last 2 fire minion waves, and after pushing up those last 2 fire minion waves, take that mid tier 2 tower and then transition that over to the solo lane. This Primal Fury is going to go the way of Sunbreakers, so it's not all doom and gloom for them, even though they still have a lead, and with this Primal Fury, it will extend a little bit farther. But with Fire Giant and 4 members of Stormcallers, and after the last 2 team fights that they have been fighting upward and winning both of these team fights, they have definitely got to feel that confidence back within them. And with that confidence, they can really start to look at some of these other objectives. Pyromancer now being the next target for them. And Sunbreakers are stepping up. They do have a Celestial Beam coming out and doing just that, shooting out the raw ultimate, trying to look for that kill, but no Searing Pain secure for the Pyromancer. A really great job of Stormcallers kind of pulling that Pyromancer up towards the Sunbreakers instead of where that same corner is that a lot of teams elect to pull it, which would have been an easy Searing Pain steal coming out for Zombie on the raw. But again, they just need to start looking to group up, and they're doing just that. They're grabbing minions right now in the right lane. They've got Pwuntahs over in the left lane pushing up and putting a little bit of pressure over there. Ping's coming out. They are well aware, and Wukong is rotating over right now. So going to end up using that special delivery or Sonic Boom to get away from BoolCakes, but with that speed buff should be relatively safe. Meanwhile, all 4 members of Stormcallers are looking at this tier 2 tower. Lawbringer in the back line.
Voulg, big ultimate, dragging Zombie away, making him low, forcing him out of the fight. Now it's fine. Big root coming out, forcing KoalaMang away in his ultimate. two ultimates that are now down. KoalaMang is forced to run. So is ShadyByrd. Sunbreakers unaware of what to do. Not used to this power by Stormcallers. Stormcallers being a little bit hesitant. Out their jungler, don't want to take an unadvised step or an ill-advised move. Gonna decide to go for this T2 in mid. Sunbreaker's gonna try to see if they can soft defend or figure out what they want to do. Sunbreakers, I think this is the first time that Sunbreakers is kind of lost. It seems like they're trying to figure out what Stormcallers is doing differently. And Sunbreakers been playing amazing game. And now all of a sudden they're forced to think. They're forced to adapt and rethink their entire plan. But we see now Zombie is just using Searing Pain out of nowhere. He doesn't have any setup, and he didn't get anything out of it. Printer's showing that he can set up his team and gets the confirmed kill onto ShadyByrd. This is not looking good for Sunbreakers right now, as they don't really have much. Searing Pain is down. Their big jungler is not there anymore. 7-2. You don't have the setup from the knockup. The Volcanic Fury isn't there to save you as well. We don't know what's happening. Teams are split up. Printer's trying to gank in. Here we get the dive by Spence. Spark. Insert throwing up the pillars, but it doesn't really find anyone. Spence is getting tanked out by the Phoenix, and he got fallen to KoalaMang. BoolCakes coming in. Big hits, big leaps. Zombie killing Mario Bros. And double kill onto Voulg, but getting killed by Printers. Cosmic and Printers now splitting up to try to divert attention. It might be just the play they need. Beads out by Cosmic after being dashed, silenced, and put away. Trying to give the space for Printers to run too, but he's running back to his teammate. Gets caught and now dragged the rest of Sunbreakers to Printers. And they aren't going to let him go without a fight. Here comes the Eagle to chase down the Mercury, but he's Mercury, god of speed, the little god's messenger, and he's not going to be caught up to. That was unfortunate by Stormcallers. Sunbreakers figured it all out, and they have a chance to take this game back.
Stormcallers looking to make a play. They had about 40 seconds left on that Fire Giant, and with the 40 seconds left, they stepped up hoping that they could take that left bird, but with the split up and Pwuntahs not really being around, was in the mid lane at the time, and that little bit of disconnect just unfortunately was just enough for Sunbreakers to find 4 picks for essentially only Zombie being the only member of Sunbreakers to fall right there. And with that, CosmicVibez having used both of his relics in that engagement as well, and with both relics down is going to be incredibly unsafe, and this EFG is being looked at by Sunbreakers, and it looks like Mario Bro might be the only one that could do something about it with an Astral Barrage, but is looking to take out BoolCakes instead. Voulg a little bit too late on the Lawbringer, but it looks like Sunbreakers really want to fight this.
Searing Pain used to confirm it, but while all this is happening, Printers is split pushing the Phoenix. One of the most important Phoenixes taken down. Voulg trying to create space, chased by Zombie, and now he's using the teleport to get away. Will it be enough? Oh no! He falls, and Zombie manages to get the damage off. And now we got a full team of EFG onto Sunbreakers. They're ready to take it, put it down, and win. Stormcallers trying to prevent any more of a loss, trying to take out the Gold Fury before Sunbreakers even thinks to do so. And it was a very smart play, as most of Sunbreakers decided to go on the solo side, away from the side that their Phoenix is currently down on. But now they got 5 strong. These 2 birds are not going to go down very, it's not going to take long to take them down at all. They get blown up immediately. Divide and conquer, says Sunbreakers, and they're ready to really take this game out. A lot of initiation coming out from Spencebark. Big sonic boom from Printers, but doesn't really find any follow-up. BoolCakes following low. Gonna go up into the air. Astral Barrage to try to find the damage. Doesn't find enough. Next Phoenix is down. Sunbreakers are ready to just push this to the end. Zombie's looking really hungry right now, but instead of pushing too far, Sunbreakers are going to decide to back up. They have this game firmly back in their control, and they're not letting go.
Stormcallers electing to take the Oni Fury, and in the process just allowed Sunbreakers with 5 members with EFG to just walk up to the left and the right and middle Phoenix and blow up both of them before Stormcallers can set up a defense. Pwuntahs being the only member to do so, but might not be any members left. CosmicVibez already taken out of the equation.
Voulg gets a kill. Pwuntahs gets a kill on KoalaMang. ShadyByrd down and KoalaMang down. Mario Bros and CosmicVibez though aren't up anymore. They're stuck in the grayscale, and there goes most of the damage for Stormcallers. But Sunbreakers now has Winions taken down and chipping away their Titan, forced to back and gives Stormcallers the space that they need to just kind of come back from this. Unfortunate for both teams as they both lose 2 players. And now it's a battle of attrition. And I think the next Deicide is going to decide the game here. Pwuntahs charging up a Sonic Boom, but I'm not 100% sure. Thinking better of it, but charging it back up. Pwuntahs is looking to start this party off and kick it off right.
Pwuntahs, if Pwuntahs found Raw, knows Raw's beads are down after the Phoenix pushes, and so with that, if finds a Sonic Boom on this Raw, will eviscerate this Raw. This Raw will be taken out immediately, and a Raw with EFG, and you're a Mercury. Even if you die for it, I feel like that's a worthwhile trade at the end of the day. And Pyromancer being looked at for Sunbreakers. They're going to go ahead and take that one uncontested. And with that, 36.5 minutes into this game, where this is quite the long one right now. We still got a lead from Sunbreakers, still 3 members with EFG. All Phoenix is down from Stormcallers. But it's not necessarily all doom and gloom. We have seen a lot of signs of life this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're not done yet with those signs of life, because again, they were fighting up 12k deficit earlier in this game, and it's not quite back to 12k, but it's starting to go it's starting to trend back into that direction for Sunbreakers. And so it'll be interesting to see what Stormcallers elect to do. Right now, they're just trying to push up their fire minion waves over here with Pwuntahs on the left-hand side, and just try and mitigate the pressure that the fire minions have in both of the other lanes as well. No objectives to have, and so these teams are just standing around, twiddling their thumbs a little bit. Stormcallers are happy to do so just to get their birds back up. We can see that left side Phoenix already respawned for Sunbreakers, and so with that, with fire minions on their side and only one more fire minion wave for Stormcallers, they know that they don't necessarily have to be over there on that left-hand side, and so they're all starting to work their way over to this right-hand side, getting a lot of vision and ward set up for this EFG that's going to be spawning in 20 seconds. And with all of them backing, and with the amount of wards in their inventories over here on Sunbreakers, and their immense ward coverage already on that side of the map, it's going to be another uphill battle that Stormcallers are going to have to fight into in order to try and steal away this EFG, or look to take Sunbreakers out of this game.
If you're Stormcallers, you want to make sure this Fire Giant dance doesn't last too long. You're on a timer with those fire minions, but it looks like Sunbreakers want to kick it off early, but Voulg walking over a ward, and I'm sure they know where Spark is. I'd be careful if I were you, Sunbreakers. Voulg stole it away last time, but that Searing Pain should be enough. Dharmic Pillars coming out. Dueling Dragons. Sunbreakers confirm it. ShadyByrd looking low, but so does Voulg. Both teams forced to disengage. Sunbreakers with a win, and as a bonus, they got Winions taking out Phoenixes. This is not looking good for Stormcallers right now. CosmicVibez being picked out. Tiger finds its mark. Beads used, so is Aegis. Not enough. KoalaMang finds a kill on CosmicVibez. Spark forced to retreat onto Pwuntahs. But here they come from the back. I don't know if Sunbreakers knows. Mario Bros does, though. He gets KoalaMang out. Cakes is full health still. So is Insert. And now Zombies coming in to help even it out. ShadyByrd doesn't need the help. Finds a kill on a Pwuntahs, and then a double kill on a Mario Bros. It's up to Voulg and Spence to cause enough chaos in time. But here goes the Searing Pain to just erase Voulg from the game. Spark now left on a chase, but only Zombie cares enough to follow. Damage coming out from the Solar Beam, and I don't think Spark is going to do what he needs to. Zombie's just 2 on top of him with that raw buff. It's going to be enough to keep up. Gets the kill on a Spark, and Sunbreakers wins the set despite being a game down and clinches it. Great job for Sunbreakers that the entire set, the entire time they were playing such great Smite, by the book, textbook. They were invading, making everything calculated. The ganks always were fruitful, and they just got objective after objective after objective, and they just really forced Stormcallers into a corner. And when Stormcallers finally were able to fight back, and Sunbreakers had to think and adapt, they did it so well. It took 2 team fights, but they managed to save the ones that counted and force Stormcallers back into that corner. Great job by Sunbreakers.
Yeah, Sunbreakers doing a great job of looking at the objectives. They're looking at the opposing team's buff camps. They're looking at the objectives on the map, not just the neutral objectives, but the towers. And with that really objective mindset, they are really able to take a lead in the early game, and with that lead transition it well into the late game, and then just start team fighting after the fact. And a lot of the beacons we saw in these games went the way of Sunbreakers. And so if I'm Stormcallers, for next time, I am definitely looking at being on my camps at the respawn timers and making sure I'm calling out where those rotations are coming in, and make sure to draft some way to initiate, because again, that game 2 draft just was not doing it for them, and they just really struggled because of that draft. And they looked much better in this game. We can see that they can fight at a deficit, but let's try and not have a deficit if we're Stormcallers going in the future. We just got to make sure that we're looking for these objective plays early and being on our camp timers early, and potentially looking for these invades early to help set up and facilitate for a better late game to find these set wins over these teams. A great look for Sunbreakers, and if I'm another team in this Immortal division, I'm keeping an eye out for them.
You definitely hit the nail on the head. I'm watching everything they did, and especially watching out for ShadyByrd too, because him being in those back camps was such a problem, and you saw that in the results of some of Spence being down a couple levels. He couldn't kind of get the shared XP off of some of these buffs, and it affected everyone. So I'm definitely looking at Sunbreakers. I'm looking at what they did right, what they did wrong, exploiting everything I can, and bolstering everything that they're going to try to take advantage of. And they're definitely one of the teams that we're going to watch to see coming up in these next couple of weeks. But that'll be all for us today. Thank you for joining us. My name is Gearchief. With me, I had Sun. Thank you so much, and we shall see you next time.